Welcome to the Vibes Podcast with your host, Snoop.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Vibes all the way from windy UK. We are being battered with really strong winds at the moment, so if you do hear some rumblings in the background, I do apologize. It's been really bad. Trains haven't been running, a lot of places has been flooded, it's been insane. But that's not going to stop me from telling you all about the latest tech news that has been going on. And this week definitely has brought some interesting stuff. Now, the first thing to announce is that TCL, a company that's known for making electronic devices such as TVs, etc., are going to stop selling the Blackberry branded phones come August. It seems like Blackberry as a whole, as an organization, are no longer going to be making phones. It's not the death of the company because they are very much part of security. So they work on security tools, they make antivirus software, or they bought out a company that does so. So they're very much there to ensure security, but in terms of making mobile devices, they will no longer exist. I had the opportunity to play with a new Blackberry device that had Android and a sliding keyboard, and I really liked it. But the brand as a whole has lost its touch. I know that Blackberry Messenger, BBM, if any of you remember, actually ceased working last year, not so long ago. It is a shame to see a company that was right there at the top many years ago now gone into a different direction. I guess it's hard to compete. They did try to come into that Android space. I guess the name just doesn't carry that weight anymore. But I do hope that they do take the whole security element when it comes to computers, servers, in terms of how information's transferred is obviously worked on. But sad news to kick off this podcast with is that we are no longer going to see our beloved Blackberries. Samsung have accidentally announced their Galaxy Home Mini, and what this is basically a Google or Amazon Echo device that you would have at home. And obviously Samsung are very much working on their own assistant. I know that their assistant is called Bixby, but they're creating a new assistant, which they announced at CES. That seems to be quite intelligent. And they've announced this small speaker. It's coming out on February the 12th, the day after the Samsung event, when they're going to announce their new phone, their new flip phone that flips downwards in half. Obviously the Samsung S20, the new phone with an amazing camera. But they are obviously going to release this as well. Interesting to know that they will be going into that space, but they're going to be utilizing their own AI system, most likely to be Bixby. I've not played around with Bixby too much, but in terms of how it speaks, it seems a lot more natural. But is it any good? I can't really say. I should really give Bixby a go on my phone, thinking about it, and I will give that a go later on tonight. So they accidentally leaked that. It happens. Microsoft were in the news, and I will mention them again later on, but they were in the news in the beginning of the week because Microsoft Teams and maybe some other services went down because of an expired certificate. It seems like a very basic thing for Microsoft to forget to update, so there was an outage. They were quick to get that resolved, but very odd to see that kind of not looked upon. Certification's one of those things that every organization should look to update to ensure things work. So a strange thing, a strange blip from Microsoft in that sense, but good to see that it is back up. I didn't myself notice it because I do use it myself personally. But it went down earlier on the week, so a little bit of an embarrassment there for Microsoft for something basic like that to go down. Toyota and Panasonic are going to be working together to create batteries, and they're looking to employ about 5,500 people to work in this together. It's a new agreement to start jointly developing and manufacturing electrical vehicle batteries. They definitely want to come into this space because Tesla are very much strong in that space, and they have been ramping up their battery productions. We don't know who they also supply batteries to, but it's good to see that other companies are taking that quite seriously. Will that bring in the competition to see better battery technologies when it comes to cars? I actually watched a really interesting video yesterday where a guy had a gallon of petrol and he then stacked that up against cans, and cans were representing batteries and battery cells. And by that explanation, I'll try to find the link, and I will put that in my description if I do find it. But it was interesting to see how much further we need to go with this whole car battery technology. There is a way to go. They are heavy. It's going to take a lot more energy. Hybrids for me are still the right way to go right now because it's a good crossover. But I really hope that this technology does improve in terms of battery life, in terms of working better. So let's see what happens in that space. But like I said, Toyota and Panasonic are working together, and they're going to create an interesting partnership. And going on to the next topic of that, talking about batteries, the UK has now brought forward its ban on new petrol and diesel cars to 2035. And there's rumours that that ban might come even sooner. And again, that's very pleasing to see that countries are taking this whole thing very seriously. It's not a long way to go. If you think 15 years might seem long, but theoretically speaking, it's not. There's a lot of organizations that's already moving in that way. And as they're moving in that direction, we're going to see more newer cars having battery technology rather than using, petroleum. So to see that shift is amazing. The UK is looking to go zero carbon by 2050. Will they be able to reach that as a country? Will be interesting to see, but they're definitely beginning to take strides in the right direction. Google had a slight blip. They were saying that they have a bug within Google Photos. Obviously, it will be fixed now, where it sent private videos to random strangers. And, they were saying that some videos in Google Photos were incorrectly exported to unrelated users back in November. So, scary stuff that has happened. They have rectified that. This happened a while back. But again, this whole thing about privacy to ensure that everything is working, everything's locked down. It's not 100%, and it's never going to be 100%. It will be a lie for anybody to turn around and say that privacy is at 100%, because no matter when you have these kind of attacks or when things go wrong, it will go wrong. But, do rest assured that these companies are working very, very hard to protect data and to make sure that data's stored and put away in the right way. And, mistakes will happen here and there. But, a shame to see that has happened. But the bug was back in November, not a big thing, I think. Overall, it's not the worst case scenario, but still not great. Nvidia made an announcement on Tuesday. And obviously I've been batting about Stadia for a long while, Xbox streaming for a long while. And Nvidia have had something called GeForce Now that has been in beta for a very, very long time. I remember joining the beta when it first came out. I thought it was amazing. It was very jittery. Now, for the first time, their cloud gaming system has now been launched. It's $5 a month, and it's live for all users. It's still not perfect. You still need to buy your own games. The games are bought through via Steam. But it's good to see general availability for this, because I think getting more user feedback is only a good thing. It'll make it work a lot more better, a lot more solid, a lot more robust. But like I said, and from the earlier podcast as well, about game streaming being the big thing now, where having an Xbox or a PlayStation may be a waste of time, that reality is now coming. And Microsoft and Xbox division have actually now said that, Nintendo and Sony aren't really the competition. The competition's now coming from people like Amazon, like Google, like Nvidia, and there's other companies out there like Shadow, for example, which allows you to theoretically rent a top-end gaming PC that sits in the cloud, where you don't get latency and stuff like that. I mean, this technology has really blown. And we're only going to see this get better in quality, get better in... I mean, this is the vision that I talk about. You can buy any shell of a computer, and this computer can look like a MacBook or a Lenovo, or look like a Dell, or look like something from outer space. It doesn't really matter how it looks. But as soon as you start it up, it talks to the internet, and you get a choice of what operating system do you want to run. It'll be a fee, obviously, somewhere tied behind it, but it'll be like, I would like to run Mac OS from the cloud, and you can do what you want to do in the cloud, do your video editing, whatever you like to do on the Mac. And then you're like, I need to do a bit more work productivity stuff. So then you turn around and say, on that same computer, I now want to boot into Windows, and on that same machine, it talks through the internet and loads Windows. And you might turn around if there's another operating system and say, I want to run something else. So the future will not be about, an Apple Mac coming with Mac OS or a Lenovo coming with Windows. It'll be the case of, what do you like the look of hardware-wise? You buy it, and then you choose what you run on there. That is the right way which I think it should go down. That's the path that I imagine it going down on. I could be horribly wrong, because this is a pure prediction of how I think and where things should go. But this whole game streaming thing is a step closer to that direction. They nail this and they get button presses and stuff right. You're never going to know the difference if it's local on your machine or if it's hosted elsewhere. So very much interesting time, and that's one of the reasons why I get really excited about this whole game streaming thing, is because it opens possibilities elsewhere. So super excited about that. Dyson, as a company that I spoke about before, they've got a patent for a wearable air purifier that also works as a headphone. And it's a germ-killing headphone that they're saying that will be more effective than a mask. Is this because of what has been going on? And again, this coronavirus thing has been a really, really sad thing. A lot of people have been affected by it. Any piece of technology that can help, with situations like this is welcomed. So, even though initially I thought, what a stupid idea with an air purifier, at the same time, if it helps become more effective than a mask and helps people from not contracting such diseases like the coronavirus that has been going on, anything is worth it. And this is where technology really works. If you get that right, technology can be a beautiful thing. Now, a funny thing that made me laugh is that you pay money to avoid watching adverts or listening to adverts, and you do that on Spotify. You pay a premium price, you don't get adverts, you don't get it's uninterrupted music. However, KFC have somehow managed to slip ads into your premium subscription through artist profiles. So you'll have a profile, let's say I'm an artist, DJ Snoop, right? And I've got my track. Somehow there's a picture of a Zinger burger right next to my face in the profile of Spotify, and obviously you then have the word KFC written somewhere. they are beginning to entice more and more artists to have product placement. And, there are pictures of artists where they are, right next to it. I mean, I kid you not, when I talk about having a Zynga tower next to my face, that is actually happening by other artists. There's playlists called Anything But Ordinary playlist, and you'll see a person holding a burger or a woman posing next to a KFC burger. It's the most insane thing that I've ever seen, but a clever way of avoiding the ads when it comes to these services. So strange out of that. Now, obviously, I mentioned about the coronavirus earlier on, and unfortunately, there have been some organizations that have begun to pull out. And one of the events that will be coming out is Mobile World Congress that will be taking place. That usually takes place in Barcelona most of the time. I'm just having a quick look now. Yeah, so Mobile World Congress back in Barcelona, happening on the 24th to the 27th of February, where they bring in the biggest news about mobile tech, about mobile news. You'll get to see other technology like VR, etc. But it is an event that's primarily aimed at mobile technology. So we're going to see quite a lot of announcements for Android devices and stuff. But like I said, LG as well as other organizations are pulling out of this event because of the concerns that they have for the whole coronavirus thing that's going around. It's going to hold a separate launch event for its latest phone, so you won't miss out, but really sad to see events being really hampered by that. Samsung iOS app have confirmed the existence of the new Galaxy Bud Plus. And again, I've mentioned this before. We're going to get more information on the 11th at the Samsung event. But these buds do not do noise cancelling. They just give you better lives overall, and they're shaped better. I've seen pictures of it, and they don't look any different from the original Galaxy Buds. So I'm not too sure what the Plus is all about. Is it just all about giving you more battery life? I'm not too sure. I think you gain something about 2 to 4 hours, but everything else seems to be the same. It's supposed to produce better sound. But like I said, nothing else has really changed in the device. So I don't think it's worth it, but I need to see when it gets released of what extra that you get. Sony has, and just talking about Sony and about gaming, they've closed a UK PlayStation VR studio. It never released the game. I'm not too sure how well Sony's VR business has done. Have they sold enough? Have they done enough? I'm not too sure. Obviously, they're going through a transition period for the PlayStation 5. It is sad to see that the Sony PlayStation studio has closed for VR in the UK, but like I said, these kind of changes are going to happen. Talking about Spotify, which you talked about KFC earlier on, they've reported that they've got 124 million paying users, and because of podcasts, and if you're listening to this, you can listen to me on Spotify as well. But they're saying that they're looking to have even more growth with the whole podcast element as well. So this 124 million paying users may grow even more because it will be one area where you listen to music and podcasts. And it's good to see that they are working on that. It's great to see Spotify having a lot more choices in terms of what you can listen to. So really cool to see. So great to see that the numbers are doing well. Google Assistant can, if you ever have these tiles, so tiles are these little key rings or little things that you can put on items, and then you can find out where your item is. So if you ever misplace a key somewhere, you can say, hey, or you can go into the map and say, where are my keys? And this thing will then start ringing out loud. Then you can find your key. You just follow the sound. Or you can say that you lost a device, and a community of people will be like, oh, I can see it. I know where it is. pick up the keys and you can get your keys back. That's the whole idea. Google Assistant can now say where your tile is located without you even needing to even have the ringing functionality. So great to see that this tile app is working the way that you want it to do. You can find, items like bags if you put it on a bag, like I said, your keys, your wallet. I have them. I have one in my wallet. I have one in my bag. I have one of my keys. So I can find items, or I know where I placed them. So I think it's super useful. So really cool to see that. In New Zealand, there are trials for an autonomous flying taxi, and it's looking to do trials soon. It's a partnership between Boeing and Kitty Hawk, and I think Boeing needs all the right news right now because they've, and I will go back to Boeing later on, but they're doing these trials, autonomous flying. I would be scared about autonomous flying and something flying on its own accord. But saying that, I remember landing into Paris once in heavy dense fog and the captain saying, look, just turn off your devices, we're going to get the plane to land itself. And to this day, it's probably the smoothest landing that I've ever experienced. So, you got to give it some element of trust. It is nerve-wracking, but to see that they're taking passenger trials in New Zealand, pretty cool. Let's see how this goes. Will we have flying taxis just around the corner? And talking about Boeing, Boeing obviously have had an issue with one of the models of their plane. They were ready to release the plane back into the wild after some issues with it, unfortunately. And they found a software bug, so they've delayed, I think it's called the 737 MAX. I'll have to double check that. But they found a software bug and they've delayed the relaunch of that plane. So like I said, Boeing needs everything that it can right now to help its reputation. It's been tough going. Huawei haven't had it easy. They had the ban from the US. They've had other people say don't use their products because China's spying on you. Well, Vodafone as a telecommunication company that's based in Europe are looking to remove Huawei equipment from all of its European network. What that will do, I don't know, but I know a lot of the companies were investing in Huawei technology for their 5G rollout. So does that hamper that? Does that slow down the rollout of 5G across Europe? I don't know, but it's for me, how do I feel about this? I don't have an issue with Huawei. Maybe it's just me thinking they're not that bad, but it is a shame. The company is being affected, and a lot of a big vendor in Vodafone have decided not to take their equipment. They are removing it bit by bit. They're saying that it will cost them about $220 million to get rid of it all. It will take 5 years to actually complete. So sad time in terms of Huawei. They're still feeling the backlash of it all. So hopefully, that gets resolved. In terms of Philips Hue lights, so if you have Philips Hue lights at home with the automation, I don't have Philips. I've gone for Life X light bulbs. But Philips have patched a long-standing Hue bulb security flaw where hackers could have access home networks through compromised bulbs. So it's good to see that they've patched that up. I don't know how long-standing this actually is, but the fact that they've managed to sort this, I thought there was an issue back in 2016. So has it taken the organization 4 years to patch this? That's quite scary. 4 years to patch that up. Why not any sooner? But either way, I'm not going to argue. They've patched that. It's fixed. It's supposed to be good. So if you got those Hue light bulbs, please do update the firmware on your light bulbs. There will be instructions how to do that. Now, again, Microsoft had a bit of a little blunder. If you use Windows 10 and you've been trying to search in the search bar and nothing comes up, it's not only you. A lot of people were affected by it, including myself where you try to type in and everything's just blank. They're saying that the issue should now be fixed for most people, but if it isn't working, then you'll need to reboot your machine. There is a fix on windowscentral.com on things that you can do to get your start button and your search bar working again, but there seems to be some issues that Microsoft have gone through this past week. It's okay now, but again, rather frustrating. I know that I was frustrated. But on the heels of that, Panos Panay, the guy who more or less has helped resurrect Surface from its death, and when I mean death, the Surface, the first iteration, the second iteration, didn't have it easy. And the Surface really came to life with the Surface Pro 3, 4, and it just improved from that point on. And well, the guy who created this entire thing is now going to lead Windows as well. So he's going to be working on Windows and the devices. So bringing these two much closer. What that will bring, I'm not too sure, but I know it will be something magical because I think this guy is full of great ideas. And I think if he's able to do that, I think he is heavily involved in Windows 10X, which is a different flavor of Windows 10. And, to see him now leading that charge, it's going to be interesting. I'm, for one, very excited to see what will come out from it. So let's see how it goes. But, it's a step in the right direction. Now, Uber have been given a new permit that has been granted to them after 2 years, and I can't believe it's been 2 years, when they had a self-driving incident in Arizona where there was a fatal crash. They can now resume their self-driving cars within California, so we're going to see autonomous cars again. Fingers crossed nothing goes wrong in that space, because obviously, again, automation is the key thing that is happening. So to see that come through, and to see California be able to see these cars is cool. Be interesting to see how that works. Now, WhatsApp Desktop, if you use that, there was a security flaw that gave intruders remote access to your files on your computer. Quite scary stuff about that. They're saying that you should really upgrade your WhatsApp Desktop client as soon as you can do. It has revealed that it has fixed the issues on a Mac and on Windows that let attackers basically hijack and remotely access files on your computer, and that was done through Chrome. So it is one of those things. If you do use WhatsApp for desktop, please do update the application. Please be careful whilst you're using it. One of the things I have to say is, one thing that you need to ensure is please continue to keep your machines up to date. That is very important. The New York Police Department are looking to replace their handwritten logs. So obviously when there's an incident or if something's going on, they write it down by hand. They're now going to do that on an iPhone, and it's coming out on an iPhone app later this month. So now these police officers will be able to take their logs, etc., straight onto their mobile device. And definitely a move in the right direction. I know they tried to do this with Windows phones many moons ago, but that technology died. So, to see them bring that back up is cool. It saves on paper. It could eliminate potential abuses and faking entries and stuff like that. I mean, there's loads of things, but to have them move away from logbooks is pretty cool. I think other departments have already done that, so interesting move there. Quickly about Apple, again, talk about iOS. Apple are going to, in March, give the option for users to buy iOS and Mac applications as a bundle. Will that work to be something cheaper, something better priced? Not too sure, but let's see how it goes. Now, the next news really caught my attention. So researchers have managed to find a way to steal your data by tracking the brightness of your monitor from miles away. Apparently, there's a video online where they can do some sort of filtering. It looks at the brightness of the screen, brightness of the text, or whatever from a long distance. And basically, they'll be able to read stuff. Now, I'm looking into this right now, so I'm going to read this from what I can see. So, researchers have found a way to steal data from air-gapped computers using an LCD brightness. The approach has a compromised computer relay that changes in the LCD RGB color values that a camera equipment can detect. Basically, all they're saying is, because I don't get what they're saying, I need to read into this, I need to see the video, but what they're saying is that they can steal data from the brightness of your monitor. And that's crazy. Like, really, like, I never thought that would ever be possible, but anything's possible. There was one thing that happened a few years ago where they were able to track conversations from a vibration of your voice hitting a leaf, and that was crazy technology to me. And the fact that they're able to do something with how bright something is just insane. So, God, I'd love to be James Bond. The amount of tech and stuff that you can do to take data, I mean, it's just so interesting. I don't know if it interests you lot out there, but it definitely interests me. Like, I'd love to work in something like that. Netflix are switching on Android devices to an AV1 codec. Basically, this codec enables you to stream videos that takes less data. So that's a welcome thing. Data is a thing that a lot of people rely on. It's a big thing for mobile phones generally. It's not about the phone calls or text messages. It is about the data. So whenever you can save data here and there is a great thing. iOS back on the Apple front. iOS 13.4 are looking to turn your iPhone and Apple Watch into car keys. They've found something in the software, in the beta, that talks about car key. It's an API that talks about car keys. So will you be able to go up to your car, unlock your car with your Apple Watch or with your phone? That's a pretty interesting thing. Again, this may lead to the Apple Car that they're working on that we hear nothing about. Will we see it this year? Will we see the Apple Car this year? Is a big thing. So interesting to see that will be the case. Google Maps is 15 years old this week. How crazy. I remember when it first launched. But they've got a slightly new logo, and they've launched a few new updates as well to the applications to make it that little bit simpler and that little bit smarter. I don't know too much of what it's going to be in terms of the changes, but they're looking to be smaller things that will make it better in terms of you will be able to see temperature at a location better, or you will be able to see other smaller things when it comes to the mapping. But 15 years is a big leap. So yeah, interesting. Now back to the coronavirus, or coronavirus, I should say. I don't know why I call it coronavirus. The outbreak is affecting a lot of things. So as you know, events are being affected. But now the Nintendo Switch is being affected because it's affecting the supply chain that might come from China for these components. They're not building enough of that. It is affecting a lot of these items. So really sad to see that. And, I really hope that there is a handle on this epidemic and that we do find a cure, because too many people have been affected by it. Amazon Twitch is a game streaming service where you can watch people play video games. Amazon are looking to turn their Twitch services to go for businesses. So can you now stream company events over an Amazon Twitch for Business account? they're definitely looking into it. The platform's amazing. It's going to be interesting to see that happen. I think it's about time that we have that. I think it's good to see that, again, this whole gaming industry of streaming and all of that is going to be pretty cool. Netflix. The one thing I hate about Netflix is whenever you go to watch something or decide what you want to watch, it plays these stupid, annoying auto previews. And whenever you start the app, you have the same thing time and time again. So if anybody that gets annoyed by that, annoyed just like me, Netflix are going to stop doing that. So no longer are you going to be bugged with these auto previews of videos. You can go through it. I think the auto previews actually slow down the usage of Netflix or the app. So for me, I think it's just better, and plus I don't really want to hear someone's voice every single time that I hear start up Netflix. France have fined Apple $27 million for slowing down iPhones. Now, I don't agree with that. And the reason why I don't agree with that is the reason why Apple slowed down iPhones is because they wanted to preserve battery life. And the fact that France as a whole have fined Apple for that, they're saying it's wrong. Personally, I feel I'd rather have a phone that will last me the entire day rather than a phone going full pelt and dying by the middle of the day. So I think that's a bit harsh, but at the same time, I do understand the other side of it. But I think Apple have done the right thing by ensuring that you get a good quality device in your hand. So a shame that is the case, but it is what it is. There's going to be changes coming soon. Google Chrome, they're going to stop something to do with videos, and now they're going to stop something to do with insecure downloads. So you will not be able to download anything that doesn't have a secure connection. So it will prevent you from downloading let's say a file or an executable if it's on a website that isn't secure. So great to see Google Chrome bringing in those technology. Gonna talk about Apple. They're testing MacBook Pros with AMD processors. So will we begin to see at some point, it's not going to happen straight away, but will we see Apple MacBook Pros come with AMD processors in the near future? Within 2 years, I'm going to say yes, we're going to see it. Other organizations are doing it. It's going to be really, really interesting in that front. Facebook are looking to buy startups that use AI vision to find your location. Not too sure how that's going to work, but they're looking into AR glasses is what they're looking into. They have acquired a company. I'm not too sure what the company's called, but it seems like glasses will be the one thing that everybody will be looking into. Windows 7 has a bug. If you're still on Windows 7, please upgrade to Windows 10 or buy yourself a copy of Windows 10. But people cannot shut down their Windows 7. There's a bug where you can't shut down the computer, and nobody knows how this has come about. So if you're on Windows 7, please update. And I'm going to end this podcast on the most exciting news of the day. Rain, normal rain that falls out from the sky, may soon be an effective source of renewable energy. They are saying that a generator can light up 100 LED light bulbs with one single drop of rain. That is exciting stuff, and that is where technology should be going. There has been many attempts to get this done, many attempts to get rain to be an active source of developing power, but researchers have developed a generator that can actually do that. One raindrop, 100 LED light bulbs. This is the future that I've been looking forward to. And on that note, I want to thank everybody for listening to my podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it this week. I've really blitzed through a lot. If there are any feedback, please do email me at podcast@vibez.xyz. I would love your feedback. If there's anything you want to hear more about, if you want me to talk about a particular topic, the feedback, the love that I generally have got from people have been amazing. Thank you for listening to my podcast. And until next week, I hope you have an amazing time. I will try my best to do a podcast about the Samsung event, but I might leave that for my weekly podcast. I'll see how I feel and how my week's coming along. But until then, have a great one. Have a great week ahead of you. Stay safe and take care. Bye.